Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Track Stars Formula 2, round 8 for the Belgian Grand Prix. Yes, we're about to draw an end to our Formula 2 calendar. We've only got 3 more rounds, including this one, to go until we crown a brand new Track Stars Formula 2 champion, with the lead going to Mitch Curry in Robosport Racing, who's got an assailable lead in the championship. It's great to see Robo Sport Racing back up the front where they used to be back in 2020, where they were battling alongside myself and my team in Mash Buds Racing, as well as other teams that we've had going on throughout our championship series in Track Stars. Also, as well, we're going to be having some familiar faces return to us on the track here in the beautiful Spa Franc shop here, located in Stavelot, Belgium. It is the racing city that is this 7.004 kilometer circuit, where we are going to be negotiating 20 turns around this iconic track. The track record for the Formula One was set by Valtteri Bottas in 2018 with a 1 minute 46.286. I don't think our Formula 2 drivers will be getting anywhere near those times, maybe not even the main series. So it'll be very interesting to see what lap times that the Formula 2 boys in the real world and are actually getting this year when they head to Spa after the summer break I believe it's going to be in August and September, I believe, is the Formula One circus coming to Belgium. But yes, it is a very iconic track around here. Obviously, it is a driver's track. It's everyone's favourite circuit to be racing a part of, to be a part of a racing circuit. But as we can see there, as we look into the foreground there, as we see some cars going through Eau Rouge and Raidillon, there is a brand new feature. It's not on the game, but it's a brand new multi-million dollar upgrade for grandstands at Spa through Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Literally you get the best seat in the house, where you can see the cars flying out of turn one and then flying up towards Eau Rouge and Raidillon. That was only introduced during the post-pandemic era. So and I would be very jealous of people getting a seat there and enjoying themselves along for what is going to be an amazing race here tonight for Track Stars Formula 2. So we are round 8 into the championship. So I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into it, just let us know how the sounds are and how we are sounding in the comm box, because I'll be doing this all on my lonesome. So hopefully you guys can join in with me, and we can get the chat and we can get the stream going very well, and we can bring you some entertainment here at Track Stars Formula 2. But as we go to the standings, as I'll try to bring that up, I'm a little bit rushed. Only just managed to get back home in time to start the broadcast. But as we bring up the results from last time out, which was for the San Marino Grand Prix, which was a late televised, which wasn't a televised broadcast, we had Mitch Curry taking the victory in car 43, and then we had Mr. Ward in car 7 taking the podium in second place, making a Robosport Racing 1-2. And then we had Tyler Lansdale in car 888 for the Steel City Mash Buds Racing, rounding up the podium, beating his rivals in Chris Burke and Ryan Palmer that occupied the top 5. Some great results as well for some drivers in Paul Rudd, who took out P6. And then we had KH Lamb in 7th place, and then Kevin Lashbrook in 8th. Then we had Balding in 9th place, and then we had Severi rounding up your top 10 with Sharp in 11th, and Doc for WRT in 12th place, with the DNFs going to, unfortunately, with Aussie Taylor from WTC Racing, and Scutty in Oz Tormentor from WRT. So we had 14 drivers, 2 DNFs, but I guess in a way it is basically a one-horse race for this championship. Mitch Curry leads the championship by a comfortable margin, ladies and gentlemen. He's not even broken into the 2,000 mark yet. His 1,974 points is his total, and he is on 4 race wins in a row. So he's won 5 of the 7 rounds so far here at Track Stars. That's incredible. So Brand, it's a new record, I believe, in Track Stars Formula 2 that we are having drivers like him winning 5 out of 7. It's an incredible performance, and it just shows his dominance and class in these Formula 2 spec cars. But down the order, we have Ward in second place, who's on 1,790, and his teammate in Chris Burke with 1,702. So it's basically occupying the entire top 3 is all occupied by Robert Sport Racing. So if Mr. Richard Robertson's reading and watching along, he'll be happy with these boys in Formula 2 putting on a stellar performance. And then we have Lansdale right behind, not too far behind with 1,660. But because I've done my calculations off air, and we are not able to bring you the drop rounds yet until the conclusion of the German Grand Prix, which will be next week at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, we'll be able to bring out all the live standings. So we'll be able to show our viewers, our ladies and gentlemen, how close the standings will be between 3rd through to 6th place. It is going to be a spicy championship. So strap yourselves in as we have 1 minute to go. Let's get on track. Let's just test the sounds of all these cars. Hopefully they all sound good to us. There we go. All our information that we need to go. So we have Ward and car 7 for Robbo Sport Racing, setting the early pace in practice. Ahead of him is Rudd. So fingers crossed we can get the sound coming through. But also, as I said, do let me know how we are sounding and how the cars are sounding relative to my voice. We have Doc rounding up through the corners here, just getting his last little practice session in. So with Gordoc, he's been in a lot in pre-qualifiers, but only with 15 drivers registered tonight. He's got himself a very good chance of putting in a good performance tonight, and hopefully for WRT's case, I think it's the sole WRT driver, so in Division 2 at the moment tonight, as he's going to wait for his teammates in Walker. And Old Man put on a great performance in the main series later on this evening, starting at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, on what is going to be a wonderful qualifying session here on this glorious day at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. And it is a very special occasion as well to all of the mothers out there. So it's a big happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers here that are in the Track Stars Racing Series community. Whether you like to give a shout out to your mother for what is a special day for them, I'll give my mother a shout out. So happy Mother's Day to my beautiful mum, who is all the way up in Newcastle while I'm down here in Melbourne. So missing you a lot, and hope you had a wonderful day in what was a picturesque day in Newcastle, as well as around here in Melbourne as well. And of course, Spa, putting on a great show, putting on a great good sunny, very nice, clear, sunny day for our drivers here. So let's just ride on board with a couple of drivers just to see what the speeds are coming to, and see who's first in line. It is actually Ryan Palmer. So Ryan Palmer coming through to start on his outlap. But what also got to remember as well, the outlap for these guys is really important, because you don't get too much opportunities to build yourself up for a quali lap, because you have to do it in succession. Essentially, when you get your cars up in building that momentum, you're only probably going to get about 4 laps, but maybe in Ryan's case, you might be able to get a 5th lap in. So he just needs to make sure he negotiates the back section of this track here, and all about just trying to keep it clean, and most importantly, try not to make too many mistakes, because if you make too many mistakes and you use the overtake and use the boost, you might be putting yourselves in harm's risk of missing out, coming back into the pit lane and then going out for another lap here. But it's always a bit of a nice battle between Palmer and Mitch Curry, who have been duking it out for the last few rounds for pole position. So the last noticeable one was back at Monza in round 6, where Palmer was ahead right up until the last minute, where Curry came in with a blistering lap and snatched pole position at round 6. Palmer negotiating Eau Rouge and Radeon very nicely there. It is flat to the floor in these Formula 2 Dallara SF19 specifications. Next year, we'll be seeing the main series debuting the brand new SF23s, while the F2 boys will be sticking it out with these cars for yet another season, as well as our Formula 3 guys jumping in the Red Bull Juniors in 2024. But Palmer's coming negotiating through Brussels turn 10, and then coming into turn 11, the no-name corner. Very off-camber corner, but keeps it steady, keeps it clean, and then all the way through to Pouon. For the first time on his first lap, it is flat to the floor. You do not want to lift at all, otherwise you will lose so much momentum coming down the hill, then coming through turns 13 and 14 through campus. Negotiating that very nicely, runs it a little bit wide onto the curving there, but that's what you want. Then through to turn 15 through Stavelo, and then Kirby Paul Frey in 16. Just trying to keep the car flat. Use all the overtake that you can in the qualifying to come through to Blanchimont, turn 17. All flat around you. It's all about you trying to think about how you're going to nail the chicane in turns 19 as he comes through just past the 100-meter board, hard on the brakes, cut the inside of turn 19, run around the outside of turn 20, and come through the start-finish line. As you set your first flying lap, it's 1 minute 54. That is the benchmark time that has been set by Ryan Palmer for Eats Racing Car 16. We have Ward in second place, has come through with a 1 minute 55, so not the benchmark that he'll be looking for. HBR in Lamb has come through in second place. We had Nismo right behind with a 1 minute 57, and then we had Rudzi 157.1. So it is a very long lap here, ladies and gentlemen. So we're not going to be seeing the cars coming through the start-finish line, setting blistering lap times, and all in succession. So we do have a bit of time to actually see where everyone is coming through on lap time. So we have some brand new drivers as well. I will add to the commentary. By the way, we do have 2 brand new drivers. So we'll say we have D-Mac in T-Mac joining us and he's currently sitting in position 10 in car 42. But also, if you are a member, if you have been a fan of Track Stars Racing Series, you will know this name. Is Federico Crestale, who is also known as Xylon 96. He's come back, ladies and gentlemen. He's come back to join us, and he is ready to rock and roll, coming back after a hiatus away from the game in Gran Turismo 7 last time out. Took a very long extended break away from the game, but now he's back. He's back in the MSR colours, and he's ready to go, roaring through. Currently sitting in position 4 at the moment, 1 minute 55.555. As I did see there, down the order there, we did see Ward actually have a dropout. So Ward must have dropped out, maybe a disconnect. So there you go. You did say he dropped out, and he's back in. So fingers crossed, at the end of the qualifying, we'll have to reset the room to get him back into the lobby. But Palmer hasn't come through to set another lap time in, so he's still sitting currently pretty at the top with a 1 minute 53.482. Only about 4 minutes to go, so if he does come out, he will need to come out right now to set the out lap and then go for that fast lap. We have Burke in second place for Robo Sport Racing Car 486, negotiating the chicanes turns 19 and 20 as the lap times are coming down by the drivers getting that second lap in. Very crucial second laps. He improves his lap time to 1 minute 53, so the second driver to be into the 1 minute 53s is Chris Burke for Robo Sport Racing. As we look down, we did see an improvement there from Rudzi and Paul Rudd in 5th place, going purple in that first sector. very easy to negotiate that first sector because it's all about just trying to get turn 1 right and then foot flat to the floor from rejoining from the exit of turn 1 all the way up down the Kemmel Straight, going through to Lakeum turn 7, 8, 9. But doing so well, very nice, good job so far for Rudd in 5th place. And then we have, who was the surprise contender? Who was the surprise of the lot, ladies and gentlemen? We have Hamish Guida in Nismo 86, Vision Video and Gaming Nismo. He put on us, I will say, he put on probably one of the best drives I've actually seen so far this year in Track Stars Formula 2 at Monza. Pulled off a master stroke in strategy, came in very early to get off the medium tyres and threw on softs as soon as he finished his 5 minimum laps, and surprised everyone and got himself up into 5th place at the end of the race, which now makes Hamish a main series eligible driver. So it's a huge congratulations to Guida in car 86, so currently sitting in 6th place at the moment, 3 seconds off the pace from Palmer, but it doesn't look like Palmer's actually going to be coming out there, so I wonder, that's him done. He must feel very comfortable sitting up in 1st place. So Guida still sitting in 6th place. And then we have Severi from CP Motorsports, car 115. Very unlucky to not be able to get himself a top 5. He was looking very strong for a top 5 at Monza, and he also had shown some good performances at the San Marino Grand Prix at Lago Maggiore. Sitting in P6, just toppled off Guida in 7th place. And then we have Taylor, Aussie Taylor, in 8th place at the moment. We have Doc in 9th, Balding in 10th. We have Mack in 12th place, as we saw Lansdale jump up the order there. But we also have our round 1 winner, ladies and gentlemen. We have Mr. Jarman Dallas, the series admin, your 4-time Touring Cars champion, back on the grid with us tonight in car 95, negotiating 19 and 20. Hasn't really set a competitive lap time just yet, but this will be his first lap in. He's set a 1 minute 56.674. Still in the top 10, but not enough to be anywhere near the front. He's 3.1 behind his teammate in Palmer. But then we look down, as we did see, Mack was in 13th place, but a surprise noticeable is Curry sitting in 14th and last place. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Curry special. If it's the curry of the day at your local Thai or Indian restaurant, this is going to be at the top of the order with Mitch Curry coming through the turns 19 and 20. He's going to be able to have one more lap, but I wonder if he's put everything into his soul to get the clean lap in. No, he doesn't. So he's stuck into the 1 minute 55. So 6th place for Mitch Curry. He's only got one more lap, ladies and gentlemen, and he needs to make sure it's a perfect lap to get anywhere near his rival and his teammate in On iRacing for It's Racing Esports, Mitchell Curry, coming through onto his lap. Let's go on board with the man that is leading the championship as he negotiates Radion very nicely there. And it's all about just applying as much overtake and using all the boosts to get yourself down the Kemmel Straight and coming through to Lakeum, and he's purple by 2/10. So this could be a very good lap here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have to wait and see. Negotiating turns 7, 8 and 9 through to Brussels into turn 10. Very nicely planted there by Curry, and then through the corner with No Name. Runs it a little bit wide there, so he wasn't happy with the entry into that corner. But now Huon, it's all about just trying to get that car stable. So we'll see another disconnect here. So we're seeing a couple of drivers disconnecting from us. We'll have to wait and see if we can get some cars back in. But this is the lap that we want to be keeping an eye on, ladies and gentlemen. Coming through to Campus, turns 14 on the exit, then through to Stabilo, turn 15. Here's going to be the most important timing sector. Is he purple on this lap? No, he's only a personal best. So Mitch Curry's got a lot of work to do coming onto this back straight through through Blanchimont, sorry. Comes to turn 17 right now. Through Blanchimont, flat to the floor, thinking about how much brake pressure you can put on this car as it comes through the turns 19 and 24. His last lap around. Is he going to be able to have enough overtake to get himself to the line? Can he get himself into the 1 minute 53s? Can he take pole? No, he doesn't. He's 0.3 down on Palmer, so I'm not so sure we have any more contenders for pole position, but I think, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of qualifying. And your pole man for this evening is going to be Ryan Palmer for It's Racing. 3/10 clear of Mitch Curry in second place. Then we have Burke in third and Lansdale, Crestdale rather, in fourth place. As we can see there on the sides there, we have Lamb in fifth, Lansdale sixth. So very surprised qualifying there from Lansdale. We usually normally see him a little bit higher up in the Formula 2 Championship, a sitting P6 with a lot of work to do. Then we have Paul Rudd and Rudsey in seventh place. Then we have Severi in eighth, Guido in ninth, Dalitz rounding up your top 10 with Balding in 11th, Gordock 12th, and Demac was in 13th and sitting in last place. But we had a couple of dropouts with Hypnotic, with Aussie Taylor dropping out, and I believe as well we had Ward. So that's another one as well that we were a little bit surprised with. So Ward has got a lot of work to do. He's sitting in position 2 of this championship, and he's got a lot of work to do. Trying to get past 14 cars around this circuit in 14 laps to try and take out the win. That is a tall order. He needs to have a very strong strategy if he wants to be able to pull that through. But as we take a quick break, where Palmer's going to be sitting out the grid, we'll have a quick little breather, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure in the next couple of minutes you grab yourself a drink, get yourselves ready for what's going to be an exciting Formula 2 race here for round 8. Can Mitch Curry go 5 can he go 5 on the trot, or will we see a brand new winner for the first time since, I believe, if I'm going from memory, was at the Pacific Grand Prix, which was at Fuji, ladies and gentlemen, which was round 3. So round 3 was the last time that we had a race winner in Formula 2 that wasn't a Mitch Curry. So we'll wait and see who can take victory. But we'll cut to a quick break, and we'll bring all the action to you live and free on the Track Stars Racing Series YouTube channel. So stay tuned, and we'll bring you the race start very soon. All right, so now we've come back from a quick break. So hopefully you guys are refreshed, got yourselves a beverage, got yourself some food. It's going to be an exciting race here. Track Stars Formula 2 for round 8 for the Belgian Grand Prix. 14 laps around this iconic circuit, this 7.004 kilometer circuit located at Stavelot, Belgium. Been the home of Formula One racing since 1925, where it's been a fundamental feature of the Formula One calendar, except for a couple of rounds, I believe, was in the early 2000s. So correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, if you are in the chat there. But yes, it has been a stable feature of the Formula One calendar. We've seen a lot of great victories, a lot of great races, and we are here to produce another great race here in Formula 2 in the virtual world of motor racing. So on this special Mother's Day occasion, we're going to be seeing our Formula 2 cars flying around this track in full anger. And we can't wait to see what happened and who will take victory. Palmer's got pole position. Curry is sitting pretty in second place, but he needs to get the jump on his rival in Palmer as we come through, as we'll go to the race start. The revs are rising for round 8 of the Track Stars Formula 2. Palmer on pole, Curry second, Burke in third, Cressdale in fourth, but watch out for Ward down in 14th and last place. The lights are on and we are underway. Green flag racing, a solid start there by Palmer. Currently sitting up into first place. Curry's going to go around the outside. Burke's going to sneak through. Oh, we see some contact by some drivers and a lot of spins around there. We see a couple of cars there. Unfortunately, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I won't be able to have any replay cameras here, but Lansdale caught the worst of it. Lansdale's gone from 6th down to 14th and last place. I did see it was an orange car there that went diving through into turn 1. I'm not so sure who that was. It may have been Ward. Not 100% sure, but he's up into 9th place after that start from 15th. As we see as well, down the order, Lansdale down in 13th place has picked up a position away from Balding, but still leading the way in first place. It is Ryan Palmer for It's Racing Esports leading the charge in first. Mitch Curry sitting in second place, and then Chris Burke rounding up the top 3 on the podium. Cressdale on a very solid return to Formula 2 sitting in 4th, and Lamb in 5th place. Jarman Dalitz, It's Racing in 6th place, and then Paul Rudd in Rudsey 7th, Severi 8th, Nismo in Hamish Guida 9th, and Race Pig in Ward in 10th place. Wow, that's a crazy start there, but Lansdale's got a lot of work to do. As we see a car go puffing up a bit of smoke there, that was Mac, unfortunately. So Mac has got into a bit of contact with Doc from WRT, so he's been in the thick of the wars as well. So just trying to get his rhythm back into it. But we now look back up to the front. There's 1.5 seconds between Palmer and Curry, the two drivers that early this morning and yesterday have finished up their iRacing Nürburgring 24-hour race. So they are barely surviving on any sleep, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about the caffeine and all about the food intake, just trying to keep you awake and just trying to keep you motivated for the racing here. But these boys are doing a fantastic job. They brought their Car 45 Track Stars Racing sponsored BMW from, I believe they started in 40th position, or they were down to 42nd or 52nd place. Like, I think that was last place in that field, and they managed to bring that car home into 4th place, ladies and gentlemen. That is an incredible feat, and that is an incredible drive by the boys. Both Brian Palmer, Mitchell Curry, Pat Trappett, Brian East, putting on some solid drives for us and representing the brand very well. But Curry's got himself a lot of straight line speed in that car 43. He closed that gap massively. We can see Palmer's very strong so far in the windy sections, and this is where you need that grip. This is where you need all that traction to get through those corners, because you can see there he was, what was it, 5/10 at the end of Kemmel. He's now 1.2 ahead of Mitch Curry all through Lake Coombe, through Brussels, and the corner with no name, through Pouon as well. Is still looking very solid for Palmer to be sitting pretty in first place. Burke is sitting in 3rd place. Got a bit of a gap margins over behind his teammate in Curry, but he's got Cressdale behind him in 4th. Cressdale just runs a little bit wide onto the AstroTurf there. You can pick up a half-second penalty there. It is very harsh, but you can pick up that half-second penalty if you run it just too wide. Oh, he's just got onto the AstroTurf there. He manages to hold it, applying the overtake just to try and close that gap between himself and Burke. We have Lamb in 5th, and then we have Rudd in 6th place, who just made a move on Dallas on this lap rather, to get himself back up into position 6. So Dallas down in 7th, Severi in 8th, Guyder 9th, and Ward in 10th place, starting from 15th. But he was thinking of making a move on Guyder, just runs the car deep. He can't make that move, so he's just going to have to step back behind. But he's got Lansdale right behind him in 11th place. Lansdale is on the recovery charge, starting in position 6, dropped down all the way down to 14th place at the end of the first corner. So a lot of work to do for Lansdale to close the gap and get himself inside the top 10. But we have to keep an eye on what the gap is between these cars. I just saw it creep into the second there, but look at how that time is coming down. Curry's got a rocket in that with that straight line speed. He's 3/10 behind him. But watch as we see Palmer go through the corner, through Lake Coombe and through Brussels for the 3rd time in succession. See, look at how that gap is clawing up through the field. It is incredible, the downforce that the It's Racing driver has got on that car. It's back up to 1.2, just as it was in the last round, the last lap, sorry. 1.3 now. This is incredible pace by Palmer. He's really put in a lot of work to get the car balance nicely done. He's lost a lot of time on the straights, but he's able to gain it a lot on through the corners, especially sector 2. Now he's up to 1.5. This is, wow, some really strong pace here by Palmer tonight. And he's only gone purple on his fastest lap. He's 0.4 up on his personal best, which is the fastest lap, 1 minute 55.6. So we'll be seeing a 1 minute 54 sometime soon enough. A 2.2 ahead of Mitch Curry in 2nd place. Burke sitting in 3rd. Crestdale just losing a little bit of ground to Burke in 4th place. So not much of the orders has changed, ladies and gentlemen. So we're looking about more or less the same orders, but we have Ward looking for an inside move on through Blanchimont. Oh, contact and rubbing made between Guyder and Ward. Very risky, very dangerous to go for a move there. You need to have full confidence in the driver ahead and behind. And Lansdale's going to capitalise on Ward going wide. Pushes Lansdale a little bit wide on the exit of turn 20. That gives him a bit of breathing room between himself and Lansdale, but that's also given Guyder a bit of breathing room himself, a few extra car lengths between himself, Ward and Lansdale, because he's seeing these guys right behind him. He knows that he's not going to be able to fight these guys off, in both Ward and Lansdale. So it's only going to be in due time before we see Ward and Lansdale creep to the back of Nismo and take that position away. But in saying that, they're letting the guys such as Severi and Rudzi through, as Rudzi looks for an inside move on Dallas, as Dallas has got back up into 6th place. So these two boys, in both Dallas and Rudz, they're having a nice little battle amongst themselves, battling it out for 6th position. As we can see back up ahead, we can see KH Lam, our Malaysian driver, sitting very nicely in 5th place, but onto the back of the rear quarters of Crestdale's car 23. And even Crestdale on that through this lap, he's actually lost a lot of time to Chris. So Chris, he's losing a lot of time to Chris Burke in 3rd place, who's actually closed the gap to Mitch Curry in 2nd place. So at the end of this lap, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be able to reveal the tyre set that everyone is running on. Because at the end of this lap, at the end of the next lap, is when the compulsory tyres can be changed. The tyres will need to be changed. A minimum of 5 laps on both softs and medium tyres. We'll have to wait and see what they are on. But the two Robo Sport racing boys racing very hard and working very hard to try and battle each other out. Burke needs to try and get as much ground as he can, as he lost out a lot to both Palmer and, he's losing out to Palmer in this race so far on lap 5 of 14, but he lost out to Lansdale, who took out a podium at the San Marino Grand Prix at Lago Maggiore. So losing a bit of time there. And as we see, Dallas has calmed down the order here as well. So Dallas with a 2 minute 6. So I was wondering where his name was. I was seeing him up there in 6th place with Rudzi. But Dallas has dropped down to 11th. So so a huge mistake must have happened on his end, possibly towards the back end of Stavolo. But now we can see Guyder giving way to Ward. So Ward's coming through very nicely in 8th place, has made a move on Guida, so he's put himself some breathing room between himself and Lansdale, but Lansdale right behind as we go on board with the man in car 888. Steel City sponsored Mashbards Racing car 888 is putting some pressure on car 86 from WTC Racing in Hamish Guida in 9th place, but you can see the gap there between themselves and Ward. You can see he's just trying to get a bit of clean air and just try and see where his rival is in Ward in 8th place and how far away he's going to pull, because he's actually pulling away just a little bit. So Guida holding up Lansdale a little bit, but only on his own accord. He is allowed to do that, ladies and gentlemen. He can't. He's not going to give up. He's not going to give a free position to Lansdale. Lansdale has to work very hard to get past Guida in 9th place, who took out a brilliant P5 at Monza in a couple of rounds ago. So as we now go through, we can see what the drivers are on at the end of lap 5. So let's start with the front. We'll start off with Ryan Palmer for It's Racing on lap 6 of 14. He is on the Racing soft tyres, 3.3 clear of Mitch Curry, who is also on the Racing soft tyres. So he's struggling to get his tyres up to temperature and working properly, because now you can see his teammate right behind in Burke is closed up massively. Burke is right in the clutches of Mitch Curry. He's closing that gap. The gap is dropping between the two. Curry goes defensive, weaving the car, just trying to break the slipstream between himself and his teammate and Burke, but not able to make a move just yet. So he'll have to sit behind his teammate for the next sequence of corners through sector 2. Cressdale is in 4th place, also on the Racing soft tyres of car 23. So very solid return here by Cressdale, doing a fantastic job in car 23. Then we have Lamb in car 82, also on the Racing soft tyres. So very interesting strategies with a top 5, top 6 even on the Racing softs. Let's see, let's look down the order. We have Severi in 7th on the soft tyres. Lansdale has come through, I believe. Because we have a few drivers that were on the medium tyres. Okay, I see that now. So Lansdale's up into 8th place, so he's passed both Guida and Ward in the pit lane. They went from racing mediums to racing softs, so they're good to go to the end of the race. We have Doc from WRT on racing mediums, so he's the first in the top 9, in the top 10 to be on the racing medium tyres. DeMac, who's holding up Ward right behind on fresh soft tyres. He's also on the softs, and Ward just needs to be able to find a way through, sneaking up on the inside of DeMac. Oh, very close racing between the two boys there. Ward's got a little bit more momentum on his side there, but he's bringing in a big pack of drivers. Mac runs a bit wide on the exit of Stablo through Paul Frere in turns 16. He's unfortunately going to lose that position to Ward, and also loses that position to Guida. He might even lose one to Dallas right behind him, who's on a fresh set of soft tyres. So you can see the boys are squabbling about through Blanchimont. This is going to get a little bit ugly, ladies and gentlemen, but hopefully it can all be resolved here. Dallas is going to go for an inside move. No, he feints it. We see Guida has a bit of contact there with Ward in 10th place. No damage done on the car 86. But man, that was a big cluster of drivers there, but thankfully our drivers got around safely. Mac has gone back on the inside of Dallas. He chops the nose off from the car 95. Mac makes the move nice and clean there. Well done. Whoa, a bit of pushing and shoving amongst the two drivers, and Dallas and Mac. So I wonder if Dallas wasn't happy on the move that Mac made. It maybe caught Dallas by surprise there at turn 1 on lap 7 of 14. We're almost halfway through the race, ladies and gentlemen, but Mac is coming through. He's going to be using the overtake. He's going to be using the slipstream provided by car 95. Will he go for a move down on the exit of Campbell? No, he won't. Wow, some very good racing here, ladies and gentlemen. Very aggressive but firm but fair racing here. Dallas up into 11th, Guida in 10th, and Ward in 9th place. 20 seconds behind his rival in Lansdale, who's also on the who is on the soft tyres. As we see a car in the background there, that is Dallas. Dallas has gone for a big spin, and I believe that's going to be the end of his race for car 95, making his return to Track Stars Formula 2. Not the performance that we saw from round one at Road Atlanta at the beginning of the Formula 2 Championship, put in a clinical drive. And you can just see there, just running wide, and unfortunately for him, that's going to be his race done and dusted. Unfortunately, that might be a retirement. The car is slowing on the back end. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Yeah, there you go. Unfortunately, he's had to retire the car. He's put it into the garage. He's put it onto the side road, actually, and just said to his teammate, look, the car's not working. Something's not right. We have to retire the cars. Very hard call there by Dalitz, who was doing a very good job there, sitting up as high as P6, but unfortunately just a bit of lack of consistency, a little bit of lack of momentum hampered him after he came into the pit lane to change from his mediums to soft tyres. But we see some drivers now coming into the pit lane. We had Severi come in down in 18th place. He's actually ahead of Ward here, so this is actually very interesting. So he was well ahead of Ward, but Ward has actually closed the gap massively, so he's made an undercut work very nicely. Ward is on the soft tyres compared to Severi's medium, so Ward's going to be having a lot more momentum coming onto the Camel and through Lake Coombe. Who will be the late breaker between these two? We all know that Ward is a very aggressive driver trying to make those late moves, but he's made that move nice and cleanly, and he's up into 8th place, so he's now just going to try and keep that charge on Lansdale. He is racing Lansdale for position. So it's up to Lansdale to try and get that car up as high as possible and try and see if he can get himself ahead of his rival in Ward in 8th place. But as we look through the grid, not much has changed, but this is brewing between the two teammates here. We have Curry and we have Burke for battle for 2nd place. They've lost sight of Palmer, who's sitting in 1st place. So will one of these guys come to the pit lane? They don't, so they're going to be sticking it out for yet another lap here. It's all up to Burke now as we go on board with the man in car 486 as we take an onboard lap around the Circuit Spa Francorchamps. So sit back, get yourself a drink, and enjoy the lap here by the Robo Sport racing driver in Chris Burke, car 486. Now we see all the top 3 runners coming into the pit lane. So they've all gone from their soft tyres to put on those mediums. Crasdale follows them in as well. Lamb follows them in. We'll see Rudd come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. So this is the crucial lap, ladies and gentlemen, to try and get it off those soft tyres and put on the mediums for the run to the finish line. But Ward is the only driver in the top 7 that has those racing soft tyres. Palmer's just come out now on his mediums. Got a clear margin, so has Curry, so has Chris. So where does Ward feature in all of this? Crestdale comes out on his mediums. We have Lamb coming out on his mediums. And let's wait and see if Ward is able to get ahead of Rudd in 6th place. No, Rudd comes out on his medium tyres right there. But there is Ward. So Ward, 22 seconds behind Palmer, but he knows that all the drivers up ahead are on those racing medium tyres, so he's going to be flying through. He's got plenty of overtakes. He's got 5 laps to go. to use all the overtake, use all of his experience, use his pace that he's been showing and displaying to us all year round, and get himself back up towards the front there inside the top 5. As we see, a mistake there was actually done by Cressdale. He's actually picked up some damage, so something's happened to Cressdale on that outlap. I'm not so sure what happened. Again, unfortunately, we wish we had a replay camera, otherwise I'd be able to pick it all up. But Cressdale really struggling. He's down in 5th place. There's the damage all gone now, but he's got a lot of work to do to try and catch up to Lamb in 4th place. So Lamb, this will be his best finishing position if he keeps the car intact in 4th place. That'll be a great result for our international driver in HPR 82 in KH Lamb. Cressdale in 5th, ahead of his teammate in Rudd in 6th place, but there is Ward on 7th place on those soft tyres. He's coming for a late charge. He's not able to close the gap much on Palmer. As we can see there, both Palmer is actually extending his gap a little bit compared to Ward in 7th place, but Ward's got some traffic in Ruddsy. He wants to get him out of the way as quickly as possible to try and get any hope to try and catch up to Cressdale in 5th place, because hasn't got a lot to go. It'll be 4 laps to go at the end of this. We can see the braking difference between the soft and the medium compound. Oh, as he looks for an inside move, there's so much confidence on the traction. Ward's going to go side by side with Ruddsy in 7th place. Will he go for an outside move? He's going to have to hold it for the long way around turn 1. He can't do that, unfortunately, so he just has to sit tight and just wait patiently down the Camel Straight to get past him. So comes down through to turns 2, 3, 4 and 5. Eau Rouge and Radion. Use that slipstream to your advantage, Ward, and take full advantage of Rudsy's slow medium compounds. He's gone defensive, has Rudd. Ward is going to tuck Rudd around the outside. He's going to have to go for a late move around the outside. It looks like he's done that, and he has. So that's a beautiful move there by Ward. And he's up into 6th place, and now he's 6.5 behind Cressdale with only 3.5 laps to go. He might be able to catch him at the end of this, but we'll find out very shortly. But that was a really nice move there by Ward around the outside, very clean. You can see the difference between the 2 compounds of tyres. But as we look back up to the front to see if anything has changed between these 2 drivers in both Curry and Burke, no, it hasn't. So they're still more or less fighting each other out. But Palmer's put in an exceptional performance. He's 6.2 ahead of Curry, so he's actually gained time, I believe, before the pit stop. So Palmer's actually put on a stellar performance here. Very clean racing here, very clean drive by Palmer. We don't want to put the curse on him just yet, but he's got 3 laps to go at the end of this one to try and get his first victory in Formula 2 racing for Car 16 for the It's Racing Esports. Look down the order, we have both Ward in, so Ward is closing a little bit, not by much. Ruddsy down in 7th place. Lansdale, after being what looked to be in a huge accident down at turn 1 and through the source on the opening lap. We'll have to find out who that was and who got the worst end of it. Well, he did, we could say. He definitely got the worst end of that accident. But sitting down in PA, so it's not a bad recovery drive there from 14th to 8th place. So it's a very good, solid drive there by Lansdale. Doing a very good job there. Then we have Guida sitting in 9th place, and then Severi rounding up the top 10. We have Doc in 11th, Balding in 12th, and then we have Mack in 13th and last place. Unfortunately, with the DNFs from Dallards in car 95, and unfortunately a DNS, a retirement from Aussie Taylor from WTC Racing, not able to take part in the race. Sitting in, so unfortunately might not get any points this evening, might be able to get himself minimum points, but we'll wait and see. But as we come back to the front, it's 7.1 now, so he's building that gap. That car through the middle part of the sector 2 is absolutely incredible. Palmer's got on his hands, and behind the wheel of his 16 It's Racing Esports Dallara Honda SF19 spec. But Curry is real. This is not what we usually see from Curry here. We usually see Curry well up the front, dominating the pack, leading the pack, and showing a good example of how to put a strong drive in and a dominant drive, but he's sitting in position 2 at the moment. We have Burke in second, and right behind there we see Lamb. So he's actually closed the gap a little bit between the two competitors. So can we see Lamb get himself up into the podium positioning? He's 2 seconds, just over 2 seconds behind Burke in third place. We saw Burke looks like he's just made a mistake there. He has, so he's lost a lot of ground there. So lost traction at the exit of La Source. Sitting in third place, going through El Rouge and Radeon for the 13th time. You're going to have to negotiate that one more, but he's losing time to Lamb in fourth place. As we did see there on that on-board lap, which was very interesting. He was maxing out that car down Camel Straight. The car was maxing out a fair bit, and he couldn't even get past Curry, which we saw Curry had a phenomenal straight line speed in car 43, but unfortunately for the car 486, maybe not showing the same data and same information as they are with the team, as teammates usually do. He's really struggling. He was really struggling to keep up in his slipstream and even able to make an overtake. Not even with the actual overtake button, he could get past him. So very interesting strategies and very interesting setup that Burke has gone compared to Curry. But we have Lamb really closing up the gap now, so he's definitely closed that by a fair margin. So we'll keep an eye on this battle pack if he's able to get past Burke and get himself his first podium in Track Stars Formula 2. We'll find out very soon. Crestdale is right behind in 5th place. He's nowhere near contention of the podium position, but a top 5 on your return to Formula 2 is a great sign. It's a great sight to see. We have Ward in 6th place. He looks like he's made a mistake somewhere, because look at his lap times. They're not consistent enough. He's not able to get close enough to Crestdale. He's really struggling. He's 5.3 there. So he made a huge mistake somewhere around the track here, and he's lost so much ground. So he's lost 5.3. He was right up there. So it would have been about 3 seconds behind Crestdale if he kept it clean. And probably could have gotten with a chance, but he may have to settle for P6 at the end of this race. We have Paul Rudsey in 7th place. We have Tyler Lansdale in 8th, and behind is Guider in 9th place for WTC Racing. It's very inside the top 10 as we go down the field for the final time. We have Gordock in Dock sitting in 11th place for WRT. Then we have Balding for Robosport Racing. So 4 Robosport cars out on the field tonight, with Balding unfortunately down the order in 12th place. And then we have Mack in 13th and last. But like we said before, with the DNFs from both Dallets and Taylors, promoting him some good points here on his debut outing in Track Stars Formula 2, as he just runs the car wide there, so he's lost old grounds there. But for the last time on the final lap, coming to around Pouon for the final time, very strong, very dominant drive here has been for Palmer in car 16. Hasn't put a foot wrong. Oh, this is development, ladies and gentlemen. Curry's disconnected. So Curry's actually gone out somewhere. He's lost his internet connection and he's dropped out of the server. Oh no! So the championship leader, who was looking to solidify P2, has dropped out, ladies and gentlemen. He is retired. Some malfunctions and some gremlins in his car 43 has made him drop out of the race. And that promotes Burke up into P2. And we have Lamb, who's going to be taking the step on his debut on the podium's position, but coming through to the chicane for the last time is going to be Palmer taking the victory. The first of his victories. He took one in Formula Track Stars, and now he's got a Formula 2 victory here in the Track Stars for season 2023. Congratulations to Palmer for a solid and a brilliant drive. Burke comes home to second, and HBR 82 in KH Lamb for third place. After Curry's disconnect, retirement from the race, Crestdale will jump up to 4th place, so that'll be a nice drive for him. We have Ward coming up into 5th, Rudsey in 6th, ahead of his teammate in Lansdale in 7th, Guider in 8th. Severi is going to be coming through into 9th place. As we come through, as we see Severi crossing the line for CP Motorsports car 115 in 9th place, inside the top 10. He was well inside the top 10, but now he's solidified that top 10 in 9th. We have Doc in 10th, Fly in 11th, And we have DeMac in T-Mac in 12th. So, wow, ladies and gentlemen, that is a big talking point for this championship here. That'll count as his worst round. So he'll be scoring a very low 100 points here. So that'll definitely go towards his drop round. But thankfully, for Curry's sake, he's got himself a huge gap between himself and Ward in the championship. So Ward will claw some sort of points back at the end of this, finishing in 5th place. But we shall wait and see what happens at the end of it all. As we see T-Mac coming through in 12th place, the last across the line here. But Palmer for car 16 for the It's Racing Esports has come through to take victory in his first Formula 2 victory, representing the car 95. But even though he's riding in car 16, takes victory here at Track Stars Formula 2. He's done the double, ladies and gentlemen. He's the first driver in Track Stars Formulas that he's taken a victory in both the main series Formula Track Stars and now a victory in Track Stars Formula 2. So congratulations to Ryan Palmer. Pole position, a clean race, and a victory. The perfect way to start off your evening. Absolutely incredible scenes here. So huge talking points at the end of this. But as we go through the race results for the final time here, we have Palmer, who sits in first place. Burke will take P2, even though he was sitting nicely for P3. But Curry with the DNS, unfortunate for him, is well down the order with scoring a big low 100 with low 100 points. So Burke takes P2. We have Lamb taking his first Track Stars Formula 2 podium. So big congratulations to KH Lamb, the privateer, car 82 taking 3rd. We have Crestdale on his return to Track Stars in 4th place. Then we have Ward in 5th, starting from 14th place all the way up into 5th place. So he can be very happy with that drive there, but maybe the medium tyres was just not the go for the start of that race. Then we have Rudsey in 6th place, Lansdale in 7th after being turned around at La Source at the start of the race. And then we have Guider in 8th. As we switch over to the next page, we have Severi in 9th, and then Doc in 10th, Balding, DeMac in 12th place. They're the first of the finishers. So he's 1 minute 37 behind the race leader, but we have to look at down in 13th place, Mitchell Curry for car 43. Very unfortunate on the last lap too. That is really cruel for Mitch Curry to lose that podium and get himself a big DNF there. And unfortunately for Dallas as well, struggled to get his tyres up to temperature and struggled after exiting the pit lane. And just unfortunately, the last time we saw him was record him with no name with front wing damage, and running wide through Puon. So some sort of gremlins in both cars of both Curry and Dallas. So they'll have to go back to their team, go back to the garage, and figure out what they can do before we get to next week's race at Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit in 1 week's time, next Sunday night. Join us live and free on the Track Stars Racing Series YouTube channel, where you can see all the action from Track Stars Formula 2. And later on this evening, you'll be able to see the Formula Track Stars blazing around this beautiful circuit that is Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. 35 laps around here, and it's going to be some very tough and gritty racing. Who will take victory in Formula Track Stars? But before I leave you guys, we are going to have to bring in our Driver of the Day award, and I guess it's going to be no surprise, but I'm definitely going to give my Driver of the Day to my fellow co-commentator, and Ryan Palmer is going to be taking my Driver of the Day. So there you go, mate. So you provided all the trophies, and I provide you Driver of the Day here at Track Stars. So clean drive, clinical drive, didn't put a foot wrong, led out of turn 1 at the end of the first lap, and just drove a solid race. So well done to Ryan Palmer for taking Driver of the Day. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to Track Stars Formula 2 for round 8 for the Belgian Grand Prix. Congratulations to our podium getters. A lot of talking points to go through and analyze at the end of this stream. But for then and for now, thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for Formula Track Stars coming up at 8 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time for what is going to be a wonderful race on this glorious Mother's Day event here at Belgium. Thank you, and enjoy the show for Formula Track Stars coming up very soon.